This is Jason,
This is Chad.
and this is Please Pass the Bacon.
Music time, yeah. It's a podcast time. Welcome to Please Pass the Bacon with Jason
and Chad.
Hey, buddy.
Welcome back, Chad.
Thank you, Jason.
Here we are, episode 3 of
Please Pass the Bacon.
And I guess it's time to catch up a little bit. It's
Yeah,
been a little while.
It's been a few weeks. What you got? You got anything for us?
Nothing
Come
super.
on.
Nothing is super exciting. But yeah, we were talking off camera about our special event and my experience with waking up 2 hours earlier than normal,
Which is abnormal.
which is abnormal for us. And that was what we had. Our schedules changed. We worked 0600 or 6 a.m. in the morning, right? Which
Till-
meant getting up at like 4:30 maybe, and that wasn't an easy
That's
thing
early
to
for
do.
us.
But hey,
We're not used to that.
No, so I just knew it was also going to be tough on the wife. So I went ahead the first day of it. I didn't want to be late. I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to wake my wife up because once she gets up in the middle of the night, she does not get back to sleep easily.
Yeah, I have that same trouble.
Yeah. So watch on vibrate, all set.
Sounds like a great plan. What's
It
the problem?
No problem. Wake up,
Okay.
boom, alarm goes off, or at least I thought so. Go in, take a shower, shave, get ready, got clothes on, getting ready to walk out of the bathroom. Shave the head, everything,
face,
clean
looking
shaven.
Good.
And I look at the clock that's in the bathroom, and it's 2:45 a.m. Ready to rock and roll, 2:45 a.m., that's a problem.
That's a little too early. I know I bust on you a lot about wanting you to be early, but that was several hours
That was
early.
not intended.
Did you fall back to sleep?
I had no choice. I'm like, what am I going to do? So back to bed. I haven't done that. I think the last time I can remember, I don't know that I've ever got up that early, is when my little brother woke up, like, I don't know, 35 years ago. He wakes up in the middle of the night. I tell him it's time for school. He gets dressed. You know, meanwhile, it's like midnight.
So all these years later,
A karma.
little payback
A
for
little
for
karma.
being mean to your little brother.
That's right. A little karma to come back on me. So what's new with you?
Well, we just had a book signing at a Barnes & Noble here.
Okay.
That went pretty well.
For the Mystery Muffin
For the Mystery Muffin
series.
Soda Pop Sleuth series. Yeah, that
Okay.
that was good.
Awesome.
We took the pigs out to a school.
Oh, cool.
The Bacon Response Team went to a local elementary school.
I bet they love that, of course.
They did. It was like 115
Nice.
fourth graders. Got to talk to them about being a police officer, an author, and a guy with pigs.
Cool. Which I'm assuming they probably think that the pigs live on a farm, not
They
actually
do.
in your home,
They don't picture them living, walking around with us
like dogs.
like a dog would, yeah.
Wow.
That reminds me. So the pigs walking around us, they basically stay in our bathroom, our master bath.
Uh-huh.
Linoleum floor. We got to always make sure the doors are closed, blah, blah, blah. It's a kind of a pain because it's not set up for a pig pen. It's a bathroom.
Right.
So all the girls want to move into the bonus room. So they want to have their own big room.
So that frees up another room.
That frees up another room. So guess what we're thinking?
I see what's happening here.
We want to put the pigs in their own room,
Okay.
but it's carpeted.
Can't do that.
Can't really do that. So
New
we're,
floor.
we're getting up with a friend of ours, actually. Done business with him before. His name is Jason. He's at Discount Floor Covering Outlet in Indian Trail.
Bum ba da ba bum. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. They are at 6208 Indian Trail, Fairview Road, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturdays, 8 to 12. Go in there and see Jason or Joe or Rick. You can even let them know that Jason and Chad sent you
And
there.
that's wholesale prices, right?
Absolutely.
They sell and install.
And install. And the best part about it, free estimate.
Okay.
So
And that's carpet, tile, hardwood, laminate, vinyl, all those
of
things.
it. They do it all.
Good deal.
Very well done. We've used them before, so
See, I think on Facebook they are at Discount Floor Covering Outlet Inc. on Facebook. So
indeed.
check them out. And thanks to Discount Floor Covering for being one of our sponsors today.
We appreciate it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what else?
There's something that popped into my head before we did the show, and do you remember we were at the restaurant the other week, and some guys came in, and they were waiting to be seated, and we were on our way out.
Yes,
and they're like, "Wow, you guys are
the intimidating
duo or something."
Flat top and bald guy. And
we're like
intimidating
us.
Like we were just talking about bacon.
Yeah, bacon. What kind of bacon we're going to review on the next podcast? And we forget sometimes that we see ourselves as each other and think of us as regular fellas, but
most people can't get past the uniform,
the badge, the gun, the Batman belt,
add to it the bald
the
head,
Batman belt. Yeah, I didn't really know this was a flat top, but I guess quick glance.
I guess.
Then the eyebrows.
Not high and tight. I guess flat top maybe, but not high and tight.
Yeah. So it's just funny how we forget how people perceive us or view us.
Right.
So it was very interesting. It kind of, it hit us both. Like, oh my gosh, we're walking around intimidating. We're officer friendly. How you doing?
Which brings us. That's why we're doing this. We're trying to bring some peopleizing to police, so people can. Right?
I like that word that we say. Peopleizing the police.
Because that's what we're doing. We're trying to tell good stories. We're trying to tell good relationships that we've created with community and the other police officers have created with their community leaders and business leaders. So
I think that's another thing that we forget a lot about is, there's a lot of great people in our community that partner with police or just do these wonderful things that include us in it. That's
well, and it never gets highlighted, and that's why we're here, because it's hard to shine a light on your own profession because it seems anti-altruistic, but that's what we have to do these days. If you have to put it out there, because social media has opened up that Pandora's box, and there's no going back from that.
Who's Pandora?
Yeah, that's never mind.
So yeah, that's why we're doing this, and as part of one of our new segments, Jason, I'm going to go ahead and get right into this.
Is it time?
It's time. And I've prepared a little joke. Well, I haven't prepared it. I've researched it. I did not write this joke.
And this is the bad cop jokes?
The bad cop jokes.
Okay.
Now,
not bad as in
bad
criminal cop,
but horrible joke about cops.
So I'm thinking this has maybe got a Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg
kind of the dad joke thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but I have a feeling this is going to be so much better.
Well, you're involved, so it's got to be good, right?
So much better than those two.
Okay. Mark and Will, those guys.
Ah, jeez.
All right, buddy. And I'm sure some of you may have heard this before, but I'm going to go ahead.
Wait, so I think we talked. We should keep score, and after a year, we've got a winner, right?
I'm sure it'll be me, but we'll keep score anyways.
I doubt that.
Okay, you ready?
So again, you make me laugh. Is it a laugh? Audible laugh? Is it a...
No, it's a reaction.
It has to just be...
Yeah, even if you're just like...
Mutually accepted as a laugh.
Here's what I picture. You're laughing so hard, no sound comes out. You're like...
Wow, that's a lot. That's a tall order, my friend. Yeah, okay.
See? So it doesn't have to be audible.
All right, so you get a point if you make the other one laugh.
Yes.
Got it. Check.
All right. You ready?
You going to go first?
I'm going to deliver this. I'll go first.
Okay.
Jason. What do you call a clairvoyant little person who escaped from prison? A small medium at large.
Okay. Can we move on?
Was that one of those where you laughed so
I'm
hard
laughing on the inside.
That doesn't really get me a point, though.
No, it doesn't. Are you ready?
Boy, that was a bomb.
That was a bomb.
Go ahead.
I told you it's not going to be easy.
Put on my serious Jason face.
Are you ready?
I'm Jason. I'm going to have fun.
Chad, what did the blonde police officer say to his belly button?
What?
You are under arrest. Nothing.
Where's the... Let me know when you get to the joke part.
That was it. You didn't even like the accent?
I liked the...
Kind of like
was that a German-esque?
Like a Colonel Klink, I think.
That was a good... I mean, that definitely added to the... To the...
Okay, so nothing.
Somewhat...
so I'll go ahead and make that note 0
to 0.
That was probably not great.
Yeah. Well, hey.
That's all right. Today's bacon.
Would you like to know what we're going to be rating this episode?
I would like to hear that. Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
So we are
professional. We are
rating
bacon.
what? Bacon.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Okay.
Niece's Southern Style Hickory Smoked.
Ah. Very
Little
good.
local flair, actually.
Very good. And I can't wait for the guests to walk in and into that smell and that aroma.
The odoriferous emanation of cooking bacon.
Yes. Awesome. And what else we have on tap? I know we're adding a segment this time.
Yes, we are. And it is like a crazy, dumb, obscure law.
Which in researching these, this wasn't as easy as it looks, because we have found out that there are a lot of quote-unquote obscure, dumb laws on the books, and we researched them, and a lot of them are just like old wives' tales.
Literally written on a book, but not into law.
Not into a law book.
I'll tell you, we were going to use, this was going to be our crazy law. In North Carolina, elephants may not be used to plow cotton fields.
Nothing that we could confirm as being true.
And we found that in several.
Oh, there's been other websites who posted it as dumb laws.
I've heard that one for years.
Yep.
Why you would want to plow a cotton field with an elephant is beyond me.
Well,
but
it had ties back to like the circus and
making the animals
Barnum Bailey.
work,
Yeah, it had some obscure possibility of origination, but nothing we could confirm as being on the books anywhere.
So Jason said that's not acceptable, and we need to find something that we can confirm on the books.
The buzz killer.
But I agree with you. I mean, that's silly.
You want to do it right? We're police officers. Investigate it, see if it's got some validity. All right, so
do you want to go ahead and say the one?
Yeah, so what we went with was an actual general statute in North Carolina, and that is that it is illegal. As a matter of fact, it's a Class H felony.
Which is more worser than misdemeanor.
Right. It's a step up from misdemeanor. To steal grease over $1,000 worth of grease. $1,000 worth of grease.
General Statute 1479.2. Waste kitchen grease. Unlawful acts and penalties. I didn't realize. No,
I didn't know this was ever a thing. I can't even wrap my brain around when that became such a problem that you had to legislate. Like you had to create a law.
He stole my used kitchen grease. Get him.
And that's the thing, is it's illegal to take and carry away or aid in taking and carrying away any waste kitchen grease container or the kitchen grease contained therein.
Well, first of all, I can totally see us going to do that. We're sneaking around. I've got the label. I'm going to label that.
Well, that's a whole different part. It has to bear. Like that's another part of the statute. You can't go and put your label on somebody else's grease.
Well, that's why I have you. You're looking out for me. You drove me there, and you're on the lookout, like making sure that no one catches me labeling someone else's used kitchen grease.
So you can't just steal it. You can't take away the container. You can't steal the grease. Can't steal the container, and you can't label the container with your label. Who's coming from some other restaurant to label your chicken grease their chicken grease?
Oh, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do.
Wait, I said it again. I said chicken grease.
I was just going to say, you said that all week. Kitchen. So what we need to do, well, we wouldn't do this, but to keep it from being a felony, it's just got to be less than $1,000 worth of used kitchen grease. I almost said chicken. Thanks a lot.
Right. I'm just curious how they monetize that. How do you figure out?
Is it by weight?
Yeah. What exactly constitutes?
Put that used kitchen grease on the scale. What do we got?
998. Sorry. Misdemeanor.
That just blows
Case closed.
my mind. Sir, how do you plead to the charge of stealing used kitchen grease?
So
well,
I plead responsible. Inside joke.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, that's our crazy dumb law for today.
Good stuff. Well, let's not just end there, but let's talk about maybe
some usable information.
A usable crime prevention tip.
Okay.
Before we get to our guest.
Can I let everybody know who our guest is going to be? Or should we make it a surprise?
Let's wait. Let's wait till after we share a little crime tip with everybody.
I want to tell you guys first.
And it's spring. So
tax
of course
season.
It's tax season, and we see a rise in IRS scams.
Here's one for you. How about this? Bring, 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 bring.
Is that the phone ringing?
Yeah, I'm calling you.
Yep. Hello.
Hey, Jason. It's Chad with the IRS.
Hey, Chad.
Just want to let you know that if you don't pay right now your back taxes, local law enforcement's come lock you up.
Whoa, don't want that to happen.
Why don't you go ahead and give me your credit card number? We'll take care of this right now. I don't want you to have to go to jail.
Sounds like a plan. Here's my social security number just in case you forget.
Well, that would
who
be
I
a
am.
lot easier.
And here's a credit card. Put whatever on I owe.
Thanks a lot, Jason. By the way, I don't work for the IRS. Click.
Oh, I got you.
You got it.
I done got. Yes.
And that actually does happen a lot this time of year. So
more than what you would actually think. The IRS will never call you and demand payment over the phone.
No. They're not gonna hit you up on Facebook and say, "Hey, where's that back taxes you owe, or where's the money you owe us?"
Right. They're not gonna. Yeah. They're just not gonna do that. They're gonna probably reach out to you in a letter first. And if you ever have any questions on any contact from the IRS, one, they're not gonna contact you via email, text messages, or social media, like Chad just said.
Right.
And they're not going to involve law enforcement by trying to get you to pay
as
your
cops,
taxes.
don't we? Isn't that one of the things we do on a daily basis? All right, let's see who didn't pay their taxes today. Let's go get them.
Go log them up. So if you've got any questions, you can always check the irs.gov site.
And for those of you that don't internet, you can call an 800 number, and that's 1-800-366-4484, just to report something suspicious, or if you know you're getting scammed, they need to know about it.
That's right. Well, cool.
So that's our usable crime tip for today. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Chad. Who do we have today on tap?
You want to know?
I sure do. I want who's the visitor?
This is Mr. Caleb Costner.
The
Caleb Costner.
Fantastic.
This is going to be good. Before we start talking with our guest here,
Yes.
I made a mistake earlier, and you gave me an opportunity to correct myself, and I didn't take it.
Let me guess, the 3,000-pound pigs.
The 3,000-pound pigs. They get big. I meant to say 300-pound, but I said 3,000, and you said 3,000 pounds, Chad? And I said, yeah.
See, and
so
I let it go.
Yeah, you were cool about it. I appreciate it.
I let it go.
But they could get up to 1,000, not 3,000.
Still big, but not 3,000.
Yeah, not bigger than a car.
Chad, thanks for that clarification.
Thank you for allowing me to clarify that clarification. Did you hear that laughing? Guess who that is, ladies and gentlemen?
None other than our next guest.
Caleb Costner. And as you said earlier, the
Caleb Costner.
Caleb, welcome. Thanks
hey
for
guys.
being on Please Pass the Bacon
Absolutely.
podcast. We
Thank you
appreciate
guys
it.
for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Excited
Caleb-
to be here.
Caleb's an officer in North Carolina also.
North Carolina.
Like we are. Yeah,
That's
in
right.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
And has been on for how long?
Coming up 5.5 years.
5.5 years. Now, were you law enforcement elsewhere and then came over to your new department?
I was at a smaller agency
Okay.
here in the state of North Carolina. And so actually how my journey kind of began is I was about as young as you could be. The day I turned 21, I started my career.
Wow.
I really wanted to, I guess, kind of get a head start, I guess, on my career. And in the state of North Carolina, you can be 20 and a half and go through BLET.
As long
Now-
as you start your job by 21?
So, yes. So, nope. So, as long as you're 20 and a half, you can start BLET. And there's a little confusion in there because you got departments by any means like, CMPD, your larger agencies, State Highway Patrol, they choose that you cannot apply. You cannot apply till you're 21 years old. But in the state, you can be 20 and a half and go through BLET at, some of your smaller colleges, local colleges, community
Gotcha.
colleges, which is what I chose to do. So I was working on my associates. My credits went towards my associate's degree. So I was able to put those credits towards my degree and start my career kind of early. I was a police explorer at Gastonia City Police Department. I was born and raised in Gaston County, which is just right across the way from Meck County, which is the largest now county now in the state of North Carolina. So started my career there.
So he started a little bit younger than we
I
did.
did.
Yeah, a little
I
bit.
did. So
I'm going to be honest. I would be scared to be a cop at 21. When I was 21, I think I had the maturity level
Yeah.
of like
I was not
13-year-old.
ready. I was 30 when I started.
Really? Well, don't worry because probably every agency in the state has the same worry that you have
Yeah.
about that, and that's really why they don't want to, you coming into at least 21.
I would say
when you
departments
apply.
ideally are looking for someone with
Exactly.
a little more life experience.
And for me to be completely honest, it did make it a little difficult for me to get hired on. even just 5.5 years ago, we weren't facing the shortage, as much of a shortage as we are now, with law enforcement officers. So, departments could kind of still have that, I don't want to say pick and choose, but didn't have to be every applicant they had felt like, we need to fill these numbers. We need officers on the streets. So,
so you were probably more along the lines of the complete opposite of what probably Chad and I, and even our last guest, Mike, we didn't grow up wanting to be a police officer. Is that something that you grew up knowing you wanted to do?
Come on, I know there's baby pictures of him in some sort of
every Halloween
cowboy or police officer.
Cowboy and firefighter.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
Well, who doesn't want to get paid to sleep and watch the truck, right?
Well, my dad was a volunteer firefighter. So,
well, Caleb, can I tell you my little joke I always say about fire? What do firemen and police have in common? They all want to be firemen.
There you go.
Thanks,
so
Jason.
clever, so clever.
Yeah.
So yeah, your dad was a volunteer fireman.
I look back and I'm glad that he had that service, and that we can both say that we were both, first responders. That's actually really neat
cool.
to be able to call to say. But when I was 5 years old, I got my first kind of go-kart, and so from the age of 5, till I was probably 11 or 12, I just had a yard cart, and I would race go-karts around the backyard, the backfield, wherever I could.
He's a race car
driver. So I kind of found the passion for, I guess, speed, and enjoyed that. And so when I was about 11 or 12, I actually got into bandoleros, and bandoleros is a form of racing.
Is that go-karts, or is that now a step up?
That's a step up from go-karts. It's basically one of your lower level. I mean, it is the next step up from, as you maybe would call it, go-karts. First kind of form of kind of stock car racing. A lot of your drivers, your NASCAR drivers, have came out of something like that. Your Kyle Bushes, your Joe Logano's, Kurt Busch, those type of drivers came from that kind of racing starting out, and then you progress into the next form of racing, which is legend car racing, and that was my next step. From there, I spent a couple, years doing that off and on.
That's an expensive sport, isn't it?
It is, and that's why I said off and on, because some people have the funds, man. They'll run 50, 100 races a year. I'm talking about twice a week.
Wow.
Practice. It is insane to think about the amount of money that some of these families and
are putting
people
into
spend.
it. Yeah,
and knowing that there's maybe not even a chance for them to go anywhere past that.
I mean, you would think it's the same percentage that get into professional football or professional baseball.
You're talking about hundreds. I mean, it can get into that even at that age, with the amount of money, amount of races that you're spending at that age, or the amount of races that you're entered and in running, and between the damages on the cars, and it could pile up.
Yeah.
So, my parents didn't have money. I wasn't say rich growing up. I didn't have a lot of those types of things. My parents were kind of like, hey, we know you enjoy this, and if you want to go to the track, we can, do what we can to get you there. And
that's pretty
I would
awesome.
make some occasional starts. Yeah. And I seen the sacrifice that my mom and dad made, and also my grandparents that kind of pitched in and wanted to help me, and seen that I had a passion for that. So I quit racing about, it was a period about a year or so, a couple years from 13, 14, where I just didn't have any money. So when I was 15 some change, I guess, I went and found out you could be 15, have a job permit. So I went and got a job permit.
He's always just trying. How young can I be?
Yeah, how young can I start
How
something?
young can I be
Right.
to do everything?
Listen, I want to get on this early.
Absolutely. So I wasn't even 16 yet. Got a job permit in Lincoln County, and I went and started working at Subway. And that was my first job. I was a sandwich artist, and
nice.
I'm a sandwich artist by day, race car driver by night.
Absolutely. So I knew how much money I had to get to buy I had never actually bought my first race car. So I was like, man, how much money do I got to have? And I'd go on Craigslist.
How many sandwiches do I have to make?
How many footlongs do I have to sell in this place to,
Nice.
Buy me a race car? So I raised up, I think I saved up by $800, which probably was a couple months worth of pay.
Yeah.
And went and bought what we would call a roller dirt car. And it pretty much had a roll cage in it, and it rolled. That's about what you call a roller. And we had to completely go through it. My uncle helped me a lot with tearing it down and building it back together. And
Had he had previous experience?
absolutely. So I come from a family of that. Actually, my cousin by marriage is Jeff Hammond. So which is was a crew chief for Darrell Waltrip back in the day. And Jeff actually was, a little fun fact, Kurt Busch, who a lot of people very well may know, is still a Cup driver to this day. His first start, Kurt Busch's first start in there, Jeff Hammond was the crew chief of, and that's a pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty neat to say. Hey, that's just pretty neat. But so I became kind of just raised up in a family of just NASCAR kind of surround us. Plus, I mean, we're the home
in the heart of it, right?
The heart of it. So naturally, I just kind of took after that. And continued on, I guess, to pursue and have a passion for that. So I was 16, kind of got in that, and seen real quick, wow, I bought a car, but now I need to work a couple more months. That way I can actually take a next step, putting some money towards putting this car together. And I realized real quick, when other people weren't paying for anything, it takes a lot of money to run that kind of thing. So
well, it's not just the race either, right? There's you can't just say, all right, I'm a racer now. You got to practice. There's a lot of stuff that goes in before the race.
Yeah.
So and that costs money too.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, between the fuel, the tires, you're talking about parts that fail, travel to and from, vehicles, trailers. I mean, your people that are going to help you. Just a lot to it.
Vehicles. I love it when he says, can you say vehicle again?
Vehicles.
I love it.
Maybe because it has hick in it, and that's what my voice is, hick.
You just sound natural saying vehicle.
So yeah, started there about that age, and we started the dirt scene, and that's the first time I'd really entered the dirt scene. A lot of your local tracks around here, East Lincoln was pretty famous. Ray Evernham, who's well known around the sport, he had bought that track out at one point, raced there a little bit. He raced around Carolina Speedway, which is about 25-30 minutes from Charlotte. So ran some of these local tracks, and to the best I could with finances, not having much, low funding.
How'd you do?
So we did, okay compared to other cars that, our budget was, a couple $1,000s in a car, and these cars would come up there and you put $20,000-$25,000 in a car.
They got so big time sponsors and
built motors, and you're like, how are you supposed to run with that? So compared to what the equipment that we had and the motors that we have, it's almost like seeing some of these small teams. It's the same thing these days when you see some of these teams that are racing NASCAR. They have great drivers. But great drivers can't find great rides because they don't have the funding.
The money to put into it.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got drivers from like Hendrick Motorsports, your Joe Gibbs. People want to talk about, well, man, Jimmy Johnson and these drivers. Well, I mean, those drivers are great drivers. Absolutely. But look at the equipment they're in, too. I mean, you've got guys who finally got a break this year. Matt DiBenedetto, who now races for Levine Family Racing. And you've got Corey LaJoy. Who's a great guy, local guy. Actually, just, you got Joy of Seating that's not too far from here.
Right.
When I said, it's hard to find funding, I realized because, growing up, I was like, oh, I want to be a NASCAR driver. I'm going to be in racing. When it was time for me to put money in my own pocket into racing, I was like, I can't afford this, man. This is crazy. There's no way I'm going to be able to do this. Yeah. I just thought, hey, I'm going to go to the track and prove myself. Well, if you don't have the money to back that up, you're not going to be out there, and you're not going to be running with the best.
There's more to it, yeah.
Absolutely, there's more to it. So I found that to be difficult, and we raced a couple full-time seasons. Dirt. I ran 4 cylinders, like your Fox body type Mustangs, and your street stocks, your Monte Carlos, stuff like that. And then it gradually went into late models. Late models is pretty much about the biggest thing you can run. That motor-wise, maybe sprint cars on the dirt before you take that next step to maybe get back out of it and run a full-size stock car, something.
So how do you get from that dream? Like the NASCAR dream.
Yeah, absolutely.
To law enforcement.
Well, he wants to drive a police car in his cowboy costume and go super fast.
Absolutely. So when I was 16 and I started realizing all that stuff, like, man, NASCAR it might not work out, and it's not realistic. So I said, what else can I do in my mind as a 16-year-old and get paid to go fast? I'm like,
what'd I tell you?
There you go.
Well, police cars drive fast, don't they? And one day I had a thought, and it was funny. I had these thoughts, and it wasn't but like, See, I walked outside. I think I was getting something to eat in Gastonia, and I walked outside, and I had, like I said, I've been thinking about this all week, and I heard sirens. I was like, oh my god, what's going on? Naturally, like everybody else.
It's a sign.
And this police car just comes barreling past me. It's like,
Okay.
I wonder how much he makes.
Or how little he makes.
At least you were gonna have to pay to do
at
it.
Least,
like
exactly,
racing.
Absolutely. So those kind of thoughts kind of crossed my mind. So I went home. I was like, hey, Dad, didn't you used to be a firefighter? Yeah, son, I did. And kind of, I was like, well, what do you think about being a police officer? Well, he's like, it's dangerous, and there's a lot of risk to it, and but yeah, I mean, we can look into it. So I was like, what can I do at
That's
this
a pretty
age?
cool dad,
Yeah.
to be supportive of that like that.
Man. My dad has always been supportive of me. If it weren't for my parents, I know I wouldn't be the person I am or where I'm at today. That's for sure. But he kind of give me the, I guess, like kick in the butt. Just kind of say, yeah, hey, you do it. That motivation to take that next step. But at 16, I'm like, and both him being him are both like, what can you do at 16 to kind of prepare you to go in law enforcement? And a couple weeks later, he ends up making contact with somebody, a couple of police officers, and I'm like, hey, we have a Explorer program at Gastonia. So I was like, cool. And I happen to know one of the kids through school that his mom actually was an officer, and she actually ran the program. So I found out, went that night, whenever they had it set up, and initially got signed up for it, and didn't really know what I was getting into. It's just like, oh, cool,
Yeah.
you get to wear BDU pants and have a polo, and
Like you went the path of like really young.
Absolutely. I tried to schedule ride-alongs as much as I could, and the department that I was with at the time, they were okay with me going as many ride-alongs as I wanted to go on. So I took advantage of that as much as I possibly could, and I'd probably say, due to my schedule, I would ride a couple times a month, and I would just see things. And
But did you miss constructing your Subway sandwiches?
No. So I'm telling you, I would get out of high school at 2:45, 3 o'clock. I would have to be at Subway 3:30. I'd be off at 10:30. I'd leave there, and I'd be in a police car at 11 o'clock. And I was riding until
That's a full day
2,
right there.
3 in the morning,
Wow.
going home, taking a nap, and going back to school.
Wow.
Just because here's the way I looked at it. Even at a young age, if you want to get things done, and I got to make money, right? I have to go to school.
Gotta have money.
I'm trying to start a career or figure out this is what I'm going to do. So you got to have open doors, make opportunities for yourself. And so even at that age, I was like, I've got to start on something, and that's what I was doing. And so left from that and realized I had a passion for it, and decided, hey, is this something I still want to do?
So what did post high school work, and then off to a BLET when you were old enough?
So post high school looked like I raced exactly like whenever I could, and after high school I got into late models. I ran dirt late models. I ran your asphalt late models. Anything I can get my hands on, back to legend cars, anything literally that someone could either. Because I learned as a young age, I'm not paying for this anymore. I got to find somebody who's, likes my skills as a driver and wants to put me behind the wheel of a car that they own, and
That's a lot of trust right there.
Absolutely. So I ran when I could or whatever, and then I realized, hey, I'm 20 years old. Racing at this point right now for me is not going to put money on the table. What am I going to do that way I don't waste too much time and still have a career being developed for me? What can I do? And that was, I had already started my degree part-time because I was still working full-time. So I said, wow, I get credits for college and I get to get a trade while I'm doing this. And I've already got background experience and been an explorer. So why not go through BLET? I thought that would be a good opportunity. So I got sponsored and went through BLET. I was little. I was the youngest. I was probably the most talkative.
No. What? No.
So I actually got a couple nicknames, and but did what I could to kind of prove myself. And in the class I did, and I enjoyed it. Loved it, especially the driving part. I actually won the driver award.
Nice. Congratulations.
Hey, I mean, you
Slow
got
clap.
Exactly. Hey, I'll clap myself on that one. You got to. Hey, if you're gonna go in there, and I did, I'm not gonna lie. I was in there I raced.
I will
race
say
car driver.
it might have been embarrassing if you hadn't won it.
Right.
This is
being
true.
The race car driver.
Absolutely.
So what about so you still have that passion for racing?
Absolutely.
You've been a police officer for, you said, 5.5 years.
Yeah, 5.5 years.
So now is there what else? What do you want?
Well,
now?
how about this? How he came on the scene, and I think to us, is when he started to post, right?
On social media?
On social media. And we started to see you pop up and start getting, and I don't really know a lot of the backstory. So there was a situation, what we see a lot of is you post a lot with, it looks like the same kids.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because I see you refer to them as you're going to go see the kids.
My kids.
Yeah, my kids. That
My kids.
I used to think that was different groups of kids.
Yeah.
But now I've come to kind of chat, and I've talked about it. We've looked a little bit more. Tell us about how your relationship started with this group of kids, who they are.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a...
And this is on the job at the department where you work.
Yeah, correct. I'm going to give you a little more than that, and kind of lean up to. Obviously, after what we talked about, I got into law enforcement, obviously.
Right.
No one really wanted to hire me because I was a young guy, didn't have a degree at the time, but a young department, or a small department in Newton, North Carolina. They took a chance on me. The chief did there, and he's like, "Give me 2 years of your time, and just commit that to me, and we'll go from there." I said, "Yes, sir, I will. I just thank you for the opportunity." So I did everything I could there, and I learned there. I grew a big passion for just helping people. So I was used to just serving people, and I got that kind of servant's heart of just wanting to help people and do more. Well, in a small town, there's only so much you can do.
Opportunity,
right? And it's almost like the fields whitened to harvest. I looked at a big city, and it's like, can I go into a big city and do that? And I felt like, yeah, man, there's so much potential. And then I seen some stuff on the news that was happening, and I was like, man, I have got to do something. And I feel like no one's really doing that. And I just something had to be done. And so that gave me the will to apply to a bigger department. I went to the department I currently work at, and just kind of went in, feet running, and wanted to try and say, what can I do? I'd been on 6 months, and I realized there's got to be something more I can do. And I started finding my place of when I could really get involved and when I couldn't. But it's kind of hard on third shift. There's not a lot. You don't see.
Well, there's not a lot of people out.
Right. So
it's not like you got kids playing in the playground.
Exactly.
You can swing by and see.
Right. And you don't know how community stuff works there necessarily yet. I'm still trying to pull my own. I'm figuring out how the road works, the calls, this, that, everything else. So I don't want to get overloaded, and not really know what I'm doing.
That's how I live every day,
right.
Pretty much.
Well, so there was a circumstance that happened, and I was 6 months in, and I got a call one night. I was obviously working third shift, and the call was that 2 kids had been shot. And, you hear, we're all officers here, and you hear a call like that, and your heart sinks, and you're just like, I got, you hear a larceny call, and you're like,
another larceny, right?
Larceny, great. A loitering call, wonderful. Who is it this time? But you hear 2 kids been shot, and you're like, I gotta go, and that's all you think about. And that's exactly what happened. I heard it. I said, gotta go. I wasn't even necessarily probably the closest. I got there, and I happened to be one of the first officers on scene. And you walk in, and all I seen was blood, and unnaturally, as officers, I probably thought the worst. And I'd seen medic was there, and we're treating the boys in the back, and I see them going out, and all I can do is say a prayer. And I did, and I did what I could to help with that investigation that night to make sure whatever had happened or whoever had done this, can be brought to justice. So did my part. Well, naturally, a couple of days later, I'm wanting to find out about the case. And through the night, obviously, I'm finding out the boys. I'm trying to figure out they're stable. So, obviously, that's a relief. That's a blessing. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, the boys are okay, but with any victim, it doesn't stop there, And I just had personal ties to it. It's my division. Those are, I want to be involved.
You took ownership very early on.
I did. And I don't know what it was about it, whether it was just the kids, whether it was location, I don't know. But there was something different about it. And I just knew since I was there and I was involved, I wanted to make sure that I could do what I could to make a difference.
I think that's cool that you recognize that this isn't just another call. Obviously, it was a horrible call, but to be cognizant of that feeling is pretty cool.
Right. I think one of the things also for me is I didn't come. I didn't start my career at a large department. I didn't get a shooting every night. I didn't.
Right. That was a unique. Just the call itself was a unique
Right.
experience.
I mean,
not something you saw every day in a smaller department.
Exactly. And I don't really think I had. I mean, I had been maybe to a couple homicides or scenes or something like that, or I responded to. I was never. But kids shot.
Yeah.
Mom screaming on the phone. I hadn't really.
The worst
faced
of the
it.
worst.
Right.
A lot of crisis at one time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as an officer, if that's just what you're gonna do, you're gonna go. And I did. And I got there, and then because of the person I am, I just like I got to do something else. So case is getting handled. You know, detective. I'm not on the case, but I'm like, I can still do my part here. What can I do to help this family? So find out. Go knock on the door. Mom's not home. Nobody's home. Obviously, still within a couple of days. I find out though that an aunt was there, which is the mother's sister, and talked to her. She's like, "Yeah, well, the mom's in the hospital now. She's having health issues." I said, "What?" I said, "What's going on?" Well, she's got her own health issues that was separate. And I don't know if that because of the whole crisis that happened, it didn't help her situation and it pushed her up the edge. So I'm like, okay. Well, listen, let me know when she gets home if she can get out of the hospital. And she was and the aunt was playing duty of going back and forth to help, going to the hospital to see the boys and her and take care of everything.
Yeah.
So I said, well, let me know as soon as she's home, and I want to talk to her. So she calls me, I don't know, about a week after it happened, and she's like, hey, she's home. You can go back and talk to her. I was like, okay, cool, great. That's one. Well, obviously, I don't think at the time her illness was too bad, the things she was dealing with. So she got to come home. Obviously, the boys still weren't home. Mm-hmm. And I go and knock on the door, wait there, and then finally I get someone to the door, and she kind of cracks the door open.
Police are here.
Yeah, well, that's the first thing she's like, can I help you? And I was like, yes, ma'am. I'm Officer Costner with the police department here. I was one of the officers. I don't know if you're aware or not, but I'm one of the officers that was on scene the other night when the shooting happened. Oh, okay. She's like, have you followed up the case? I was like, yes, ma'am. I know what's going on with the case. I said, how are the boys? She's like, they're doing good. Like, okay. I was like, well, listen, if I can do anything for you, please let me know. I mean, seriously, is there anything? She's like, okay, thank you. Shut the door.
Done. You're thinking it's done.
Yeah. I mean, because, you deal with victims and you deal with people, and now especially that area, it was not like, okay, what the heck does he really want? Mm-hmm. And what was his intentions? And I get it. I mean, she was very blunt, very short. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I'm sure she's trying to process this. Like, wow, this officer is here, and he's saying, what can I personally do to help you? I'm sure she had to digest that.
Absolutely. I mean, I would be like, well, the more she thought about it, well, what is he? What does he
What's
really
going on?
Right,
mm-hmm.
right. Why was he here? Is he doing something to the case? Is he trying to? So 2 days later, I hadn't heard it from her. I go back at her again, and I knock on the door. She comes back. She's like, yeah. I said, hey, Officer Costner again. I said, just want to follow up with you, make sure there's nothing I can do for you. And she's like, okay, well, thank you, but no, we're good. And I was like, okay, all right, well, you have a great day. And so, do you have my contact info? Nothing. So a couple days go by later. Still haven't heard nothing. I'll go back out there again.
Third time's a charm.
That's right. And so
not bad for a basketball player going for 3 outs.
Right. So I go out there and knock on it again, and she's like, okay. She's like, well, okay, well, thank you. And I had the Officer Costner, and she's a little more receptive to me, and every time got a little better. And
so you're just in the process of earning her
honestly,
trust.
Yeah. So boys got home though. I wasn't aware of it. Boys had gotten home the third time, and I was like, hey, listen, I just want to check on the boys again, make sure they're okay and how they're doing. She says, actually, they're home. I said, really? I said, are they, doing well inside? If they've been accommodated, they need anything inside here to make their living condition any better? And she's like, no, we're okay, we're fine. And she opened up a little bit to me more that day. And she told me she didn't have to tell me the boys were there, and she did. I was like, okay, well, let me know if she's like, well, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. I don't know if it's because the boys were home and mine kind of.
I'm sure she felt better knowing that they were home and.
And she said, I mean, I appreciate you coming by. Now knowing the boys are home, they'll like to know that you came by here, an officer, and checked on them. I was like, okay, well, thank you. Well, got busy like we naturally do, and probably it was like a week and a half later before I could go by again. And went back in, haven't heard from her. And I said, hey, Officer Costner again. Kind of getting on your nerves probably, but I'm by.
This cop won't stop.
No joke. So I go in there, and this time she goes, well, the boys are actually up if you want if you want to say hey to them, I said, absolutely, I would love that. Is there any way I could do that? And she said, yeah, come on in. So I go in there, and the boys' room's back there on the right, and the first time, honestly, she said that any officer had talked to the boys since that had happened, and found out that the back room that they were sleeping originally, they turned it into a storage room because they didn't want to be in the room that they had been shot in.
Right.
So they changed bedrooms, and they moved up all their stuff, and they keep the TV on all the time because they don't want to hear nothing going on outside. And they were like scared of that room, like that door's shut. We don't want nothing to do with that.
Yep.
Because they weren't shot purposefully.
Looks like somebody had came by and just randomly shot into the house. And to this day, we don't have anything. So it's very difficult to do.
So what was I want to know what their reaction was when they saw you for the first time.
So, and that's where I was getting. So I go after I found out that, and I'm walking back to the room, and the boys, I'm thinking, oh man, the boys are going to smile. They're like, oh man, officer's here. And it wasn't. It was kind of like, they were kind of scared, honestly. They're like, what's he doing here? And we're okay now. We're back home.
Right. Why are you
Yeah,
back?
why were the cops back
What's
here?
wrong?
Right, exactly. But, naturally, I said, hey, I'm Officer Costner, told them my name, kind of went through it, and they were like, okay, thank you. Almost because, like, mom's just like, hey, boys, talk to him, kind of deal. And I left. Well, like I said, keep going back, and after this, and the next time I had to come back, the boys had came back in there, and this time they were kind of walking, mingling around, talking and stuff. And I just started a relationship with them. I still every day. Actually, that next time I took them like some chocolate and like some soda. I knew Mom had told me that, like some soda, so I took a bite there, and I got a smirk out of one of them. The time I brought that in, and gradually, every time I started to go in there, I was like, you know what? I'm starting to enjoy getting them talk to these boys and form a relationship with them, and I want them to know. And I made Mom clear every time. I said, I want them to know that they're safe. They should never have to feel ever again that they're going to wonder if they're going to get shot in their own bed again while watching SpongeBob.
Right.
And I can't imagine that happening as a child. And just know that they have that support, and if they need somebody, that I'm here. And Mom shared with me one of the times I left, and she said, the boys, knowing that you work at night while they're sleeping, and knowing that you're going to be here or come on a call, they say they sleep better. And I was like,
that's amazing.
Huge.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And Caleb, I think what you did, I think, is what's in the heart of a lot of police, probably
Absolutely.
most police officers. But they get, there are so many demands on a police officer when it comes to calls for service and the crises they deal with.
right.
And I don't think, I think it's awesome that you personified what's in a lot of officers' hearts.
And you went
they just
completely
don't
agree.
above and beyond.
And
too.
I think, and I know
That's-
officers would love to be able to do that all the time,
Completely
and that's
agree.
that's a little bit of the frustration being a police officer is you got into this to do good and to show the community that you want to protect, that you want to serve them, and that's probably that's the frustration that's in that's why we're doing this is because the frustration lies in if we don't tell these stories, people are going to assume that we're robots.
Yeah.
So we're like, you know what?
Next call.
We're going to start getting good stories out there. We're going to do it on our terms. And so that's why we have you on. That's why we had you on.
And I think it's really cool that, you have this. I mean, you had a lot going on growing up, and a lot of likes and passions, and it's just really neat to me to look at where you started, the apartment you were at, to a bigger city, to working overnight, and it all just seems to lead up to these kids.
and what is that relationship like now?
So, obviously I continued going, and that only progressed into a great, opportunity for me to just be close to the kids. And there came a point where I'm like, I kind of left this out of the story. I just remembered this. Kind of how this all kind of came together for the boys at the end, something big. Obviously, the timeline of the boys, all that kind of happened. Before that shooting took place, though, probably about 2 weeks, I was doing what we all do, run tags at night. I was trying to maybe stop a car, and just happened to run Mike Kid Gilchrist. I'm like, that's Charlotte Hornets player, tag. And I said, what in the world is he doing? So I'm like, I'm driving down the road, and we happen to pull up the same light, and I'm like, oh, crap.
You were going to race them, weren't you? You started bumping it.
That's exactly what was going to happen. No, but And so I'm just sitting here. I'm like, oh man, he probably thinks I run his tag. Like, he
Right,
probably think
I
I'm following him
did.
because it'd be like a mile, and I'm like, yeah. So I pulled over, and you kind of like showing, I'm not gonna stop you, dude. I'm just doing my own thing. And I kind of looked over, and his windows were tinted. The window came down, and he's like, hey. I was like,
So he's waving
hey,
to
yeah,
you.
hey, man. He's like, did you run my tag? And I was like, oh crap. And I'm just like, honestly,
Like-
And I said, yeah, man, I did. I said, but I run, I run
That's what
every
I
tag,
do.
get behind. Exactly, that's what I do. And he's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, no worries. Okay, well, you have a good night. And I was like, okay, thanks.
Huh.
And so we drive on down, and I'm like, just riding
Stop.
together. Well, hit another stoplight, stop together. I'm like, it's kind of awkward. And I said, you know what? As much as I've been involved with the community stuff, if anything I can, as much as I've done, how can I almost feel like a middleman? Like I always felt like that. I mean, I don't have money, but I know sometimes there's other people in places
You saw opportunity.
to maybe help somebody. I'm like, I wonder if he would be interested because of my connections of doing community stuff before that, knowing that people like that like to help people.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, maybe I'll just ask him. So pull it up again, and right in my window, I said, hey, and he looked over again, and I said, hey, man, listen, this is kind of random and crazy. I said, and don't feel, if you don't want to do nothing, you don't have to. I said, but
Can I have your money?
yeah, I said, I do a lot of community work, and I know a lot of families that struggle and need help. And would you ever, if the time came where you want to be involved, in any way, would you like to help a family? Would you like to help somebody if I found somebody in need? He's like, oh man, absolutely, that would be awesome. And I'm like, okay, cool. And now, like, granted, because of my racing background and stuff, I've heard a lot of people have been like, oh, cool, yeah, man, let's just get up. I'll sponsor you and I'll do this.
Sure,
and
then that's it.
nothing. That was
Right.
it. They're like,
Crickets.
exactly. So I'm like, this guy, he's just blowing
He's just
smoke.
talking to me. Yeah,
That's it.
I just ran his tag, and
I'm
now
a cop. I'm sitting
yeah.
beside him. He's like,
Right.
I have to talk to this guy, or he might get up and risk me or something. Who knows? So I said, well, let me give you my information because I'm not obviously going to ask for his. I said, this
Right.
is my info. I said, here's my number. If if you want to shoot me your info, hey, great. If not, whatever. And I said, but hopefully we can work on something. And a day goes by, 2 days goes by. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get a text. I don't get nothing. I'm like, this guy, he's just like.
I
most
was
people.
right.
I was, yeah. 4 or 5 days later, he's like, hey, it's MKG. I was like, what the heck?
Like,
Is this really?
What?
So yeah, and I was like, "Oh, dude, hey, awesome! Thanks for getting back to me. Like, let's try to. I'll try,
Make it happen."
I said, if I find out about something, I said I'll let you know. He's like, awesome, man. He said, send me info if you get it, and I'd love to help a family. Awesome. Well, obviously, when you get contacts, you don't want to abuse contacts like that.
Sure.
Right,
I
right.
mean, I'm like, hey, man,
Yeah,
That's
you want
a lot of
you want to be
responsibility.
surgical with
Yeah.
that.
I got a jersey to sign for
right,
you.
Right.
And so, probably 2 months, 3 months goes by, and this is about end of February, and I'm thinking, which obviously, and the shooting took place in December, so I had started that relationship with them, and this is about end of February, and just like a light went off my head, I said, because thinking about ways to maybe help those kids.
That's the
That's
family.
when I said, I can help. Maybe I'll reach out to Mike and see if he wants to help this family. Maybe we can get them to a game. Maybe there's something. Maybe meet him. Maybe there's something we can do. So, reach out to him. And he's like, dude, I would love to help this family. And I was like,
That's
oh,
great.
man, awesome. So,
How dare you think he wasn't going to help
right, I know. And set it up. Or he's like, hey, I'd like to send him to a game. He's like, I'd love to bring him to the game. Love for him to be there. I can see him, meet him, talk to him. I was like, awesome, man. I'm telling you. So I had this. I told Mom, make sure Mom was okay. She's like, I love it. I want him to go. And even took younger brother, who wasn't in the shooting, and took him. They had none of them. This officer, they had never been to a game, anything major at all. They'd never done anything like that. Set it up, and like I said, Mom knew about it. They had no idea, but they knew leading up that I was like, I got a surprise for y'all, and y'all gotta be on your best behavior though. And leading up to it, I was probably a couple weeks, and every time I went there, first time I told them, they were like, oh, okay, cool. Well, by the end, they were all giddy and like, oh, what is it?
It got more real and real
right,
as it
right.
got closer.
And
to...
so I started to see their personalities change though when I came in through this time. And I'd probably say out in March, I started, they could start smiling, I could talk to them, and I obviously bring them snacks and stuff like that. And we just formed a relationship, and the mom, began to trust me and knew that my intentions were there to help those boys and nothing else.
Well, and they were interacting with a police officer outside of crisis.
Absolutely.
Which
yeah, exactly.
That's huge.
And that's kind of obviously why it went in that direction that it did. But it was set it up, and it was April, I think, when we ended up going. And I said, "Hey guys," I said, "We're going to a Hornets game," and they're like, "Oh, awesome!" And we went, and man, they loved it, every minute of it. We felt bad. We ended up going, and my fiance, well, my wife, fiance at the time, she went with, and we took them, and it was just us and the boys, and all the boys were like, they didn't really have it. They didn't know Hornet stuff. I think MKG had sent like a couple big shirts. I couldn't really wear them.
right.
But they seen all these jerseys, and they're like, "Man, can we get a jersey? Can we get a jersey?" And I was like, "Oh shoot,
Yeah.
those are not
I
cheap.
don't know.
How am I gonna make this happen?" And so I'm like, "Well, I brought them to the game." I said, "There's no way I can't not
It's
let
on
them."
you now.
Oh man. So I was like, we can go to the store after the game. And so we went in there, and they're like, "We like these," and I'm like, "Okay."
They're like, all right, what kind of a loan can I take out? I can't disappoint these
Oh,
kids
it's like,
after this
Borrow,
night.
borrow
Absolutely.
against my 401k.
Absolutely, yeah. So, get in there, let them pick them out, and one or two of them get some MKG jerseys, and when we end up taking care of everything, and they're like, "Oh, can I put it on now? Can I put it on now?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So they're throwing their shirts on, and they're walking out of the stadium. They got their jerseys on now. One of them got Kimba, and the other two got MKG, and they loved it, man. It made my day, man. Probably made my life. Just seeing those boys happy.
So they were
genuine.
different boys from
Man,
the first time you talked
You
to
would
them.
have never. I mean, completely different.
And
Completely different.
Yeah, and you see that, like, I think people are starving for good stuff because
Exactly.
when I see those posts, they get a lot. They get a lot of play, and they get a lot of play not because you're a police officer. They get a lot of play because you're kind of showing that
From the
human
heart,
side.
yeah, I mean-
Human side. Like, so I know some people would be like, we should be doing stuff out of the kindness of our own heart. But we were talking before the show, like, that's fine and dandy, and that's what the real nature of a police officer is, to do stuff because it's the right thing,
Right.
and that's still important. But with social media today, if we don't put out those stories, man, they just don't get out there.
And that's so cool about your accounts that you could see,
Exactly.
the progression
The growth,
in the relationship and the looks on the kids' faces and your face, and you it's the essence of helping.
There's no really words to put in it to describe, and I get the whole, man, yeah, you're doing this or that or whatever. I don't really care. But after that moment, it's seeing those boys at the game, and I'm like, man, like, what if I could do this for more kids? Like, what if I could really help do this more? Because I just see there's such a need. There's such a need, and
the reality is, we can't, like, officers. They're just. I mean, I hate to. That's not an excuse. There just isn't the time to do it.
No,
So social
no.
media, if you can reach all these people
exactly
on that platform, and then their friends can see it.
It's a tool, and it can
It's
be
a
used
tool.
for good, and it
Absolutely.
can be used for bad.
That's right.
And I was like, well, in what way can I do what I'm doing and help reach more people? And so, honestly, went by, got married in May, and after May come back, I was still doing. You kind of do it, was visiting the boys, and I was like, well, I see kids all the time in this community. It's like, how can? And I started talking to some kids out there, and I'm like, but how can I take this next level? So honestly, the beginning of June is kind of when I started the social media journey, I guess you could say, and it initially kind of started off some stuff, and it just kind of took off. I mean, I don't know how else how in other words to put it, then it took off.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are just like, I don't know if it was because it's just so raw and try to be so genuine, and I don't.
Caleb, I think it's exactly when we talked about in the first episode. You got the bell curve, and if you take that bell curve and you got people who are, tend to lean more toward pro police, some that are like they want to wait to see the story play out before something goes down.
I can see that.
And then at the bottom of the bell curve on either side, you got police can do no wrong, police can do no right. And we don't. That's not the majority. The majority
Right.
lives in that upper bell curve, and when that part of the bell curve sees those stories about police and community connecting, that's really where we all think we should be. We're not on the fringes. We're not the majority of people are in there. And when we do stuff like this, when we do stuff like those social media accounts, it helps hammer that point home that, look, people want that. It's evidences in the growth in those social media accounts.
I completely agree. And on that, I can't, express enough gratitude I have for. I mean, there's officers all across the country that are doing this. It's not me, and I think some people are like, oh man, it's this guy, and he's trying. Man, you've got. I mean, I got a lot of my inspiration from Officer Tommy Norman, out of North Little Rock, Arkansas. But you've got so many other officers,
and he's got 1 million plus followers.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got that. I mean, it's like 1.3 on Facebook, and you've got your Twitter and all this other stuff. I'm not doing it for numbers, not doing it. But you know how many people he's been able to. How many things have been sent in? How many child's lives have been changed?
Yeah.
I mean, kids that would have never got new J's got new J's. Kids that never had had nice clothes got nice clothes. Gets nice things. People that you forget about, the people who are forgotten about in society, whether they have mental illness or whether they suffer from diseases or other things that people that wouldn't get a second look at. You're able to show them to the world and say, look at this special person. Look how awesome they are. Look at their personality. And then, I mean, you just don't realize how many people are going through bad things in this country. And whenever someone who's supposed to, we come off, just a police officer title in general is rough and tough. And when you break that down and see that someone is caring and giving and of their time and of their person, everything, and that really just, I mean, it melts everything apart and brings it together, I think.
Well, I mean, you could have just as easily said, all right, I went out there 2-3 times.
Yeah.
Nothing came of it. And that's admirable. But the fact that it's what it is now and how you have utilized social media in a good way to connect with people who would never meet you otherwise is awesome.
It's a social media story that doesn't get someone fired.
Yeah.
It's that abuse their, that platform.
And I've been and the cool thing about me, I never really had done anything like that. And I mean, I've been contacted people from Germany, all across the world, Germany, all over across the country, obviously, and who have sent things and said, hey, give this to, a certain boy or a certain girl, give this to them. I want them to have that. And I'm like, how amazing is that?
That is amazing.
And now, granted, other officers are doing this across the country, but for me, obviously, it never personally happened to me. For that to happen, it's so big. It's like, man, if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't get to see the smiles on these kids' faces. These kids wouldn't have known that I would have come in here and tried to help them. So it speaks magnitudes of when I'm able to go in a community. And one of the best parts for me, and no one can take it away from me, a department can't, a person can't, nothing can. When I go into a neighborhood and as soon as I pull up in the summertime and roll in, and all I see is kids, and all they're doing is running to me in that police car.
Is that three kids running up to you?
No.
Exactly. It's spread.
Exactly. It has turned a whole community where if you're on a domestic call, it's, oh no, that's Officer Costner. He's good, man. Y'all leave him alone. That's Officer Costner, man. Leave him alone. And I'm like, man,
you are also having an impact on other officers when they come into that neighborhood because they're looked at in a different way.
Absolutely.
In a good way.
Absolutely. And it's not just me. It has brought so much attention towards, like, I've had opportunities to speak and do things. And obviously, anytime I have that, I'm like, hey, listen here. There's plenty of other officers all across the country and throughout our department that have the same touch and are doing things like this. Maybe they're not as recognized. Maybe they're not as,
they may not be comfortable doing it, and I completely
respect
or even use social media or anything. So
completely respect that, and I mean, there's nothing else I can say on that other than the fact that I just knew I seen a need, and I know that I felt comfortable doing that. And so that's honestly why I've done the things that I've done. But man, it has been so awesome. Like I said, I've seen so many things transform the way people talk to me, the way they talk to other officers.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so many stories came out of that.
But that's why we had you on here, because you fit exactly kind of what our mission has been. And also, strangely enough, he actually had a little interaction with who we're trying to get on here on the show. Yeah. A little Shaq.
Shaq.
So we'll get to more of that maybe on another one. But
yeah,
if you're listening, Shaq.
Hey, It's Jason and Chad from Please Pass the Bacon.
Over here with Caleb.
Hey, Shaq, you want to take another selfie?
We'll help you become the next sheriff. So back before what started this amazing story. Now you're here. What is there a dream now that is beyond changing these kids' lives and being a police officer? And what do you got for us?
So I don't know if we're leaving on this note, but I still have a huge dream and passion, obviously, for racing. I mean, it's what I was born into. I was natural. That's what I always wanted to be. And that was my dream. Want to be a NASCAR driver? Realistically, that didn't happen. And realistically, I'm not pursuing a full-time career as a NASCAR driver. But there are some things on the horizon, and that meaning, I have my background in racing. I've done plenty of racing, but it takes sponsorship. It takes money. It takes opportunity. I've got the opportunity. I've been talking with some teams. I dabble in it. I never can get it out of me. Once you're a race car driver, man, you're a race car driver, and only race car drivers understand that. But I mean, it's seriously, once you get the belts tightened down, you're ready to go. You're locked in. You've got that thing. You're ready to get up on the wheel. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. And you miss that feeling. You miss that adrenaline rush. You miss everything about it. And so I have the opportunity to be potentially the first ever police officer to race in NASCAR. So the biggest struggle and I guess hardship that a lot of drivers go through is finding that financial support.
Right.
I've got the support from teams, and I've got teams that are wanting me on right now. The biggest part that I've got to come up with, is that money.
Sponsor, yeah.
Well, Caleb, there's got to be somebody listening here right now that wants you to be the first full-time law enforcement officer to
behind
be
the wheel of a car,
race
right?
car driver. So if you're out there, we got to help this guy out.
Hey, by the way, now that I think about this, race car driver, got to be in good shape, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
So what better way than to put good things in your body, like Victory Nutrition International, one of our sponsors.
Oh, yes.
Victory Nutrition International. It's the cool thing about this company, the founder, Bill Downs, he used to formulate these products for other companies. He decided, you know what? I'm formulating these products. They're getting changed before they put them into their products. I'm going to make my own. And that's just what he did. So this is a nutrition company that's got premium quality ingredients. They've got science behind their products, which basically means they've got tons of clinicals, which are peer-reviewed in scientific literature. They've got products that really work, and that's the difference with VNI. Science behind the products. So
not a lot of companies can say that.
That's right. Nutrition that gets in. Victory Nutrition International. If you want to get your Victory Nutrition International, go to vni.life/victoryathletics.
Great idea, Jason.
Not a bad segue from race car to
you have to get
our sponsor, right?
Yeah.
Make it happen.
All right.
Well, hey, thanks so much for coming on, dude.
Absolutely.
And we really do hope we get to see. Well, I know I want to be there when you make this dream come true.
Well, with Grunt Style right here, they've been helping me out a lot. They've been sending me some stuff, and hopefully that's a partnership that can continue to thrive and hopefully maybe work into something else. They're already involved in NASCAR, so
cool.
Try to get them on board.
Awesome. Hey, good
sweet.
luck.
Thank you guys for having me. This was awesome. This was fun.
We're not quite done yet.
Oh, we're not
quite
okay.
done yet.
Okay.
Hey,
we're done with you.
What's the name of the show?
Name of this show is Please Pass the Bacon.
Hey, Jason.
And
would you do me a favor?
well, is it that time yet? I think we just got to talk about bacon ratings first because
Okay, we got to let Caleb know.
yeah.
So we score our bacon on a 5-strip scale.
A 5-strip scale, okay.
5 being the most goodest, 1 being the least goodest. So if you
That's
would
how I
love
like
to
to talk.
partake of our bacon, which is Nice's Southern style hickory smoked.
Oh man, if it's Nice's, it's gonna be
Yeah,
good. They're making like their liver
gotta be good,
mush. Yeah,
right?
it's gonna be good.
It's got to be good.
Did you
right?
tell him I wasn't paying attention? Did you tell him how we rate it by strips?
Yeah, I told
And you can
told
do quarters.
Of
Quarters
course, I'm gonna
halves.
be getting some
And
bacon.
did you,
See, you came prepared. He knew.
Dude.
He did his homework.
dude?
This
Hey,
whole
Jason,
podcast.
would you please
Pass.
pass us the bacon?
Yeah, you got it.
Hey, let's let our guest go first. What do you
Oh
say?
yeah, guess first,
Oh,
please, please
awesome.
help
Appreciate
yourself
that.
there.
Get a
And
whole
I
strip.
put a couple
whole
of
strip. I'm gonna take
some
paper
that.
napkins.
towels over there.
Ooh,
So
ooh.
Ooh, that's a little limp.
There you go.
Oh, thank you.
All right. I'm going to fold my piece over.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So once again, what are we tying? What is this?
This is Niece's Southern style hickory smoked. Go ahead. Put that bacon in your mouth,
Looks
Caleb.
juicy.
Please, you go first.
Took you a couple times.
Don't.
I'm not chewing
Don't.
into the microphone
Thank
this
you.
time. Even though I really want to do that because I know how much you hate it.
I'll do it. No, I can't.
Okay.
Man.
That's good.
This is kind of what I was wanting from episode 1.
This
It's
is
salty.
salty
And
goodness.
this, yeah. Can I go ahead and start? I'm going to go with a 4 right off the bat. Haven't gone higher than a 3.5 up to now.
Yeah.
It's a 4 for me.
Caleb, what you got?
I'm going 4. Absolutely. That's great.
It's salty.
I got a little sweet in there. I got a little sweet.
Is there a sweet, like a finish to it?
Yeah.
A salty nose with a sweet finish?
That is a sophisticated palate he's got right there for smoked meats. Guys,
Chad, not last but not least.
4.1 and a quarter.
Oh. That
Four-
one
I'm not-
judge. That one judge.
4.1 and a quarter.
Well, I'm not good at math.
So let's go. Are you trying to say 4 and a quarter?
No, 4.1 and then the quarter. So it's like a quarter of the 10th.
If we could just rewind to how we explain the ratings, it's halves or quarters, which
He's a-
would mean quarter, half, 3/4, or the next whole number.
He's always trying to suppress me.
We just want consistency.
Wow.
That's it.
I don't. I like to step outside of
Out of the rules.
4.1 and a quarter.
So 4.25
Delicious.
for Chad, 4 and a
And you get
quarter,
4 for me.
and a 4. Good deal.
Hey,
And you
that
g-
was some good bacon.
Great bacon.
Can we talk about something good in the community?
Yeah, I
Would
think
that
it's,
be
I
all
think
right?
it's
Do that.
time for some
Absolutely.
good news.
Okay.
A good
I-
story.
So on April 6th, Chick-fil-A University Place is having their 6th annual Race to Educate at Governor's Village STEM Academy. So what they do is these runners donate their money, and all of this money goes into local schools. All of it. The majority of it goes towards scholarships. So last year they raised $46,000. 36 of it went towards scholarships straight up. The other 10 was distributed among the schools based on
Their participation, right?
participation.
Awesome.
So this is an awesome thing, and you can run it, you can register, and you can go to www.racesonline.com.
And then I guess you would just look for the Race to Educate.
Race to Educate.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good deal. Good news. Good stuff. Good
Yeah,
stuff for the community.
that's a good
Yep.
thing. Helping kids go to college.
Chick-fil-A always doing something nice.
And another thing that may be good for you is if you're looking for a home and you're in the Mecklenburg County area,
Good segue.
yeah, you can get up with CarolinaSunshineHomes.com, and there's a little saying for them. It is, you don't want a realtor, you want
The
realtor.
realtor.
And contact Krista today for all your home and selling needs.
Buying and selling?
Buying and selling. So if
Awesome.
you are
There you go.
trying to sell the one you're in,
Or trying
Caller.
to buy one to then
to go
live
live
in.
in from the one that you're currently in, give her a
I
call.
can handle both ends of that deal.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Caleb, again, thanks for
Thank you,
being
guys.
here.
This has been awesome.
We appreciate it.
Keep doing the good work you're doing in the community. And
Thanks for
we
making
wish
us
you-
look good.
Yeah. We wish you the best on your NASCAR
Appreciate
venture,
it.
man.
Dream. Yeah.
brothers. Appreciate
And thank you everyone for listening. If there's anything you want us to talk about or not talk about, any bacon you want us to try, you can email us at pleasepassthebaconpodcast@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll give you Jason's personal cell phone number too.
Nah, another one. Ladies and gentlemen, Chad Webster. He'll be here all week.
Again, thank you everyone for listening. Have a good week, and we will see you
On the next
time
episode of
of
Please Pass the Bacon. Ba-dum-bum.